Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, as always brought to you by Lay of the Land and hosted by myself, Rolene Marks. And we bring you those top stories from Israel, the surrounds, and the Jewish world every Monday to Thursday on a social media platform near you. So let's kick off with today's top story. And this time we start in Ireland, yes, on the Emerald Isle. And popular author Sally Rooney has stated that she will not allow for her new book to be published in Hebrew. The book would be published by an Israeli-based publishing house. And she says the reason for this is that she stands in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Now, if you don't know who Sally Rooney is, Sally Rooney wrote the book Normal People, which was adapted into a very successful TV series. But one thing that strikes me as quite strange is that her books are published in Farsi, in Iran, and in the various Chinese languages, Cantonese and various others in China. And I don't know about you, but I smell hypocrisy, because in Iran, members of the LGBTQI community are hung on cranes, including children as young as 14, and China has over 1 million Uyghurs in concentration camps. So I don't know, to me it smacks of double standards and hypocrisy. But hey, Sally Rooney, if you're watching this and you're willing to engage with any of us, we would be happy to explain to you why we found this latest decision to be completely hypocritical. But in better news, is soccer/football, depending on what side of the Atlantic you come from, coming to Israel? Well, this could be the case. Today, the Jerusalem Post is hosting its annual conference, and Canadian philanthropist Sylvan Adams, addressing the conference, said that he and regional allies will be putting in a bid to host, for Israel to host the 2030 FIFA World Cup. And just a reminder, if you don't know who Sylvan Adams is, apart from being an incredible philanthropist, he also brought the Giro d'Italia to Israel several years ago and was responsible for helping to bring Madonna to Eurovision when Israel won the Eurovision awards several years ago. We hosted Eurovision as part of the agreement, and it was part of his efforts that Madonna came. She performed on stage, and this was a bid to draw more of an international, or rather an American audience to Eurovision. However, we won't hold that against him, because there was a lot of criticism about Madonna's performance, but we hope that Sylvan and his allies are successful in bringing soccer/football to Israel. Now, this wasn't sentiment that was echoed just yesterday by the chairman of FIFA. His name is Gianni Infantino. He is on his first official visit to Israel, and he said that Israel's signing of the Abraham Accords with allies such as Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Morocco, and the Sudan, we can't forget about the Sudan, is one of the reasons he believes Israel could quite easily co-host the FIFA World Cup. So let's bring the beautiful game home to Israel. And our last story, is it heating up in the Likud? Well, it could be. Earlier today, former health minister and speaker of Knesset, Edelstein, announced that he will be challenging Benjamin Netantahu, who is the current chairman of the Likud, for the leadership of the party. Now, while there are no primaries scheduled to be held, it's very interesting. In his announcement, Edelstein alluded to the fact that Israel had 4 successive elections where Likud was headed by Netantahu and did not manage to win. And he says that he could be the man to bring the Likud to victory. And our final story takes us to Jordan, and good news, Israel has signed an agreement with our Jordanian neighbor to double the amount of fresh water that we supplied to the Jordanians. Our Minister of Infrastructure and Water says that this is all in the spirit of good neighbor relations. So those are your top stories making headlines right here on the Israel Brief, as we do every Monday to Thursday. If you want to check out our original content, don't forget we have a website as well. You can find us at www.layoftheland.online. If you have been wondering what has been happening with Judge Unterhalter's bid for the Constitutional Court in South Africa, our resident advocate Craig Snoyman has an update there. It is also on our Facebook page. While you are there, please join our community by liking and following. And if you are watching this brief on Facebook, please consider sharing it as well. It is the way that we can get news from Israel out to as many people as possible. We're on YouTube as well, and if you like our content on our channel at the Israel Brief, please like, share and subscribe. We want to get those numbers growing because it also helps generate news from Israel out to people who might not hear what is happening inside the country. And we're on Twitter, where you can find us at Lay of the Land 5. That's at Lay of the Land 5, and interact with us there as well. We love to hear from you guys. So with the Tuesday edition of the Israel Brief, I'm Rolene Marks. We'll speak again tomorrow when I bring you those top stories.